your military ID. Officer, this is a federal vehicle. I'm Special Agent Earl Colton with the FBI. Everyone's a cop when they get pulled over. Yes, sir. My credentials are on me. License and registration. Before I move, my FBI credentials are in my right hip pocket. Get out of the car. Understood. My hands are visible.
Mercer drew his taser. Colton raised his hands. 50,000 volts dropped him to the pavement. Blood pooled beneath his face. Mercer deployed the taser again. Then a third time. Everything stopped. 72 hours later, the Pentagon intervened. Officer Bruce Mercer faced 12 years in federal prison, not for a traffic stop, for assaulting a federal agent who specialized in investigating police misconduct. Mercer had tased his own prosecutor. Before we continue, where are you watching this from? Drop your state below. If you believe accountability matters, hit subscribe. This channel exposes the truth when systems fail. The question isn't why Mercer stopped Earl Colton. The question is why no one stopped Mercer before this. Earl Colton was 42 years old. He'd spent 12 years with the FBI's Civil Rights Division investigating police misconduct. He testified before grand juries 17 times. He wrote portions of the Bureau's guidelines on constitutional policing. On this Tuesday evening, Colton was driving home after meeting a confidential informant about a gang case. The man who investigated police brutality was about to become its victim. At 6:45, Colton pulled into a Shell station. He placed both hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2. He turned on his dome light. He announced every movement before making it. Textbook procedure. Officer Bruce Mercer approached with his flashlight aimed directly at Colton's face. The interior light was already on. Mercer shone his light anyway. Mercer had 8 years on the force, 14 citizen complaints, 3 internal investigations, 2 suspensions without pay. He remained on patrol duty. No one had stopped him. Over 18 months, Mercer initiated 47 traffic stops for illegal window tint. 87% involved minority drivers. Only 6 stops resulted in citations. 4 of those citations were later dismissed when drivers proved their tint was legal. Mercer was writing tickets for violations that didn't exist. Your windows are illegally tinted. Colton kept his voice calm. Officer, these windows measure 32%. State law allows 35%. This is a federal vehicle. Federal law enforcement vehicles are exempt from local tint regulations. Mercer's jaw tightened. I'll be the judge of that. If you were Earl Colton right now, what would you do? Type 1 if you'd comply silently. Type 2 if you'd keep explaining. Colton chose option 2. That choice would change both their lives forever. Colton announced his identity. Officer, I'm Special Agent Earl Colton with the FBI. Mercer ordered his license and registration. Colton announced his identity a second time. Special Agent Earl Colton, badge number 34782, Atlanta Field Office. Mercer's hand moved to his service weapon. Out of the car. Colton announced his identity a third time. This vehicle is registered to the FBI motor pool. Everything I'm telling you can be verified with one radio call. Mercer laughed, sharp, derisive. Everyone's a cop when they get pulled over. Colton announced his identity a fourth time as he stepped from the vehicle. I'm reaching into my center console for my credentials and vehicle registration. I'm a federal agent. Mercer cut him off. Shut up and do what you're told. Colton announced his identity a fifth time. Special Agent Earl Colton, FBI Civil Rights Division. My credentials are in my right hip pocket. I'm moving slowly. 8 cameras captured everything. 4 mounted on the gas station canopy, 2 on the ATM machines, 2 at the traffic intersection. 1 on Mercer's chest, every angle, every word, every movement. 7 witnesses watched. The station owner stood near the pump, Army veteran, combat cap. He recognized protocol when he saw it. 2 customers held up their phones, recording. A Vietnamese veteran washing his car at the vacuum station stopped. He stared. silent. The evidence trap was closing. Everyone watching knew the truth would surface. The only question was when. Colton reached toward his pocket, his fingers extended, his palm visible. "I'm retrieving my FBI credentials now." Mercer drew his taser. Gun. He's reaching for a gun. The declaration was loud, theatrical, performed for the body camera. False narrative construction in real time. The kind of statement that would appear in police reports. The fabricated justification officers create before using force they have already decided to deploy. "That is not true," Colton stated clearly. "There is no gun in my pocket. My service weapon is secured in the vehicle's glove box per federal protocol. I am attempting to show you my credentials as you requested. On the ground, now." Colton calculated his options. Resistance meant Mercer could claim fear, could use lethal force. Compliance meant humiliation, probable injury, but compliance meant survival, meant accountability later. "Officer Mercer," Colton read the nameplate, committed every detail to memory. "I'm going to comply with your instructions, but you need to understand you are making a serious mistake. I am not a threat." Colton began lowering himself to the ground. He kept his hands above his head, announced each movement. "I'm kneeling now. My hands are visible. I am not reaching for anything." Mercer deployed the taser without warning. 50,000 volts surged through Colton's nervous system. Every muscle seized. He collapsed. His face struck the pavement. The impact drew blood. The pain was electric, all-consuming. He couldn't speak, couldn't control his movements beyond convulsive jerking. Even through the shock, Colton's mind cataloged everything. Mercer's exact words, the timestamp, the witnesses, the cameras, 12 years of training. He was the investigator and the evidence simultaneously. The taser cycle ended. 5 seconds felt like hours. Colton struggled to breathe. Tried to speak. His muscles wouldn't respond. Mercer deployed the taser a second time. Colton's body convulsed on the ground. Muscles locked. He was fully incapacitated. Hands nowhere near his body. Face against concrete. No threat to anyone. The second deployment served no law enforcement purpose. It was punishment. The cycle ended. Colton lay motionless. Blood pooled beneath his cheek. He couldn't move voluntarily, couldn't protect himself. Mercer deployed the taser a third time. "Let's see how tough you are now." Those words were captured clearly on body camera audio, words that would be played in a federal courtroom, words that revealed this wasn't policing. This was assault. This was a man with a badge asserting dominance over someone he'd decided needed to be taught a lesson. 3 taser deployments on a compliant man. Do you think this was about safety or power? Comment below. Still watching? Good. Because what happens next will restore your faith in accountability. During the third tasing, Colton's credentials fell from his pocket. The leather case landed on the pavement. It lay open. The gold FBI badge visible. The photo identification card displayed. The official seal unmistakable. Mercer moved behind Colton and wrenched his arms back. Applied handcuffs to wrists still trembling from electrical shock. Colton struggled to breathe against pavement. Each inhale a battle. The credentials lay on the pavement 3 feet from Colton's face. The leather case had fallen open. Gold FBI badge. Photo identification card with Colton's face. Official seal of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. All visible under the gas station lights. Mercer stepped over the badge. He yanked Colton's arms behind his back. Applied handcuffs to wrists still shaking from electrical shock. The credentials remained on the ground. Mercer never looked down. Visual irony at its peak. The proof of identity Colton had tried to show. Now lying in plain sight. Ignored. Willful blindness. Mercer keyed his radio. His voice shifted. Official now, controlled. Dispatch show me code 4 with one in custody. Had a combative suspect who reached for a weapon. Send backup for transport. The false narrative entered official record. Real-time cover-up, each word designed to justify what the body camera had actually recorded. Not a combative suspect, not reaching for a weapon. A compliant federal agent announcing every movement before making it. The Vietnamese veteran stood at the vacuum station. Tears streamed down his face. He raised his hand, saluted toward Colton's motionless form on the ground. His mouth moved. No words came out. The station owner stood near the pump. Army combat cap, Desert Storm veteran. He watched everything, said nothing. His hands clenched into fists, then released, then clenched again. Two customers held their phones steady, still recording. Neither approached, neither spoke. No one intervened. Fear of escalation. Fear of becoming the next person on the ground. Collective silence born from understanding how quickly this could turn. How easily Mercer could justify more force. Emotional witnesses. Moral outrage. Complete paralysis. Backup arrived 6 minutes after Mercer's radio call. 2 patrol cars. Officer James Calder emerged first. 15 years on the force. Reputation for professionalism. He approached cautiously. His eyes moved from Colton to Mercer to the ground. Something caught his attention. Calder knelt, picked up the leather case, examined it carefully under the lights. The badge gleamed. The photo ID showed Colton's face. The seal was unmistakable. Bruce, Calder's voice was quiet, urgent. Bruce, these are federal credentials. Mercer snatched the case from Calder's hands, stared at the badge, at the identification card, at the official seal. His face drained of color, all blood gone. The transformation was instant, complete, from aggressive authority figure to panicked civilian who had just assaulted a federal agent. A veteran saluted. An Army vet stood silent. No one intervened. Type yes if you understand why they were afraid. The second officer was already at his patrol car computer, running the vehicle registration. He looked up, his expression grim. Bruce, this car is registered to the FBI, federal government vehicle. Calder picked up his radio, his tone professional but urgent. Dispatch, we need a supervisor at this location immediately. We also need to notify the FBI field office, Atlanta. We have an agent-involved incident. Repeat, agent-involved incident. Colton had recovered enough to speak, his voice hoarse. I want this documented, every word spoken, every action taken. Secure that body camera footage immediately as evidence. This is now a federal investigation. Officer Calder saw the badge. Everything changed. Do you think Mercer knew right then his career was over? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. The power dynamic inverted completely. Mercer was no longer a cop investigating a suspect. He was a civilian who had just committed multiple felonies against a federal law enforcement officer. Everyone present knew it. Colton remained on the ground, handcuffed, face bloody. But he was no longer the suspect. He was the victim. Mercer was no longer the authority. He was the perpetrator. And 8 cameras had recorded everything he hung. Within 20 minutes, the parking lot transformed. FBI supervisors arrived. Internal affairs, county sheriff, different agencies, different jurisdictions, all converging on one location. The scene had inverted completely. Colton was the victim. Mercer was the perpetrator. The body camera footage became evidence in a federal investigation. FBI technical agents secured Mercer's body camera, uploaded the footage to FBI servers with chain of custody documentation. Multiple copies, multiple locations. The evidence was preserved. The video was devastating to Mercer's account. It showed Colton complying with every instruction, announcing his identity 5 times, announcing his movements before making them. hands visible at all times, zero threatening gestures. Not once did his hands move toward it where a weapon might be concealed. The footage captured Mercer's theatrical shout, "Gun! He's reaching for a gun!" A claim the video itself contradicted. Colton's hand was moving toward his hip pocket, slowly, deliberately, announced in advance. The video recorded all three taser deployments, the first on a compliant man, the second on an incapacitated man, the third on a man already handcuffed and face down. Most damning, it captured Mercer's words, "Let's see how tough you are now." An internal affairs lieutenant retrieved the window tint meter from Mercer's patrol car trunk, measured Colton's windows while multiple witnesses observed. 32% light transmission. The state legal limit was 35%. The windows weren't just legal, they were well within compliance. A records check confirmed federal law enforcement vehicles were explicitly exempt from state window tint regulations when carrying agents on official business. Mercer had either fabricated the violation or never measured the tint at all. This wasn't a mistake. This was pretext. The FBI's Civil Rights Division assigned 3 agents to examine Mercer's complete history. What they discovered was systematic misconduct hiding in plain sight. Over 18 months, Mercer initiated 47 traffic stops for illegal window tint. Demographic data revealed a pattern. 41 of those stops involved minority drivers, 87%. Only 6 stops resulted in citations. 4 of those 6 were later dismissed when defendants provided documentation proving their tint was legal. Mercer had been writing tickets for violations that didn't exist. 12 of Mercer's stops escalated to vehicle searches. Searches later determined to lack probable cause. No drugs found, no weapons found, no contraband, just citizens detained and humiliated based on fabricated violations. The investigators found complaints submitted to Mercer's supervisors. Multiple complaints, specific allegations about his stop patterns. These complaints had been dismissed as unsubstantiated, filed away without investigation. Department training records showed officers received no instruction on proper window tint measurement procedures, no quality control, no oversight, no accountability. Performance evaluations praised Mercer's productivity, his proactive policing, high stop numbers interpreted as dedication rather than evidence of constitutional violations. 3 supervisors had received complaints about Mercer. All 3 had taken no corrective action. 2 had explicitly commended him in writing. The state attorney general convened a grand jury. The indictment against Officer Bruce Mercer contained 5 counts: aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer, deprivation of rights under color of law, assault with a dangerous weapon, filing false police reports, obstruction of justice, maximum combined sentence 15 years in federal prison. The trial lasted 4 days. Mercer's defense team argued he feared for his safety during the encounter. The prosecution played the body camera footage, showed Colton complying, announcing movements, hands visible, zero threatening behavior. The jury watched. The fear claim collapsed. The defense suggested Colton hadn't adequately identified himself as a federal agent. The prosecution played the audio recordings, counted each announcement. Special Agent Earl Colton, badge number 34782, Atlanta Field Office, FBI motor pool vehicle. 5 separate times, clear audio, no ambiguity. The inadequate identification claim collapsed. The defense claimed Mercer made split-second decisions under stress. The prosecution presented the timeline. 3 separate taser deployments. The first when Colton was compliant. The second when Colton was incapacitated. The third when Colton was handcuffed face down. Not split-second decisions, deliberate choices made over several minutes. The stress claim collapsed. Expert witnesses testified about proper use of force standards. Each taser deployment after the first constituted assault not legitimate law enforcement action. A person already incapacitated poses no threat. Deploying a taser on that person serves no law enforcement purpose. It's battery. FBI supervisors testified about Colton's record. 12 years exemplary service. 17 grand jury testimonies. Constitutional policing instructor. 0 disciplinary actions. The contrast was stark. Decorated federal agent versus officer with 14 complaints. The prosecution played the body camera audio one final time. Mercer's voice. Clear. Unmistakable. Let's see how tough you are now. The jury deliberated 90 minutes. Returned guilty verdicts on all counts. 90 minutes. The jury took 90 minutes to convict on all counts. Was that justice or was it overdue? Comment your thoughts. If you think every badge should come with a body camera that can't be turned off, hit like right now. U.S. District Judge Linda Redmond delivered the sentencing statement. Her words were precise, unsparing. Officer Mercer, you fabricated a legal justification to stop a federal agent committing no crime. When he identified himself professionally and offered documentation, you escalated to violence. You deployed your taser 3 times on an incapacitated man who posed no threat. Your actions weren't policing. They were assault under color of law. 12 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole, law enforcement certification permanently revoked. The systematic dismantling was complete. Every defense collapsed. Every justification exposed. Every lie contradicted by evidence. Authority met authority. The one who honored his oath survived. The one who violated it did not. Judge Redmond's words echoed through the courtroom. You fabricated a violation, escalated to violence, tased an incapacitated man. This wasn't policing. This was assault under color of law. 12 years in federal prison. No parole. Bruce Mercer is currently serving his sentence at FCI Terute Federal Prison. His wife filed for divorce 6 months into his incarceration. His police pension was revoked under provisions allowing termination of benefits for officers convicted of felonies committed under color of law. His earliest possible release date is 2035. Complete life destruction. Full accountability. Earl Colton filed a civil lawsuit 3 months after the criminal conviction. He sued Mercer personally, the Riverside County Police Department, the police chief, 3 supervisors who had received and dismissed complaints about Mercer's conduct patterns. The settlement negotiations lasted 6 weeks. Final agreement, $8.5 million. But the monetary damages were secondary to what Colton truly sought. The consent decree attached to the settlement mandated comprehensive reforms, complete overhaul of traffic stop training with emphasis on constitutional policing standards, implementation of an independent civilian review board with subpoena power to investigate complaints, mandatory body camera usage with automatic termination for any officer who deactivated cameras during citizen encounters, early warning system to flag officers accumulating complaint patterns, 5 years of federal monitoring to ensure compliance, systemic reform, broader impact beyond one case. 14 officers were terminated during implementation of these reforms, including the 2 supervisors who had enabled Mercer's misconduct, officers who had survived on willful ignorance and institutional protection. That protection ended. The case became mandatory training material for police academies in 7 states. The Department of Justice cited it in pattern and practice investigations of 3 other departments with similar pretextual stop patterns. Ripple effect nationwide. One case, multiple departments reformed. Earl Colton returned to duty after 3 months of recovery. He was promoted to supervisory special agent. Now leads constitutional policing training programs at the FBI Academy in Quantico. He lectures to new agents and visiting law enforcement officials, uses his own experience as a case study in what happens when officers forget that badges confer responsibility, not immunity. His Dodge Charger with its legally tinted windows is displayed at the FBI training facility. Tangible reminder that assumptions based on appearance destroy careers and lives. Victim vindication, professional legacy. The man who was tased for doing his job now trains others to do theirs correctly. But here's the question that matters. Earl Colton had a badge, federal identification, 12 years of service. He had to be tased 3 times before accountability started. How many people without badges get no accountability at all? If this story made you think, hit like. If it made you uncomfortable, share it. Truth doesn't spread itself, it needs you. Subscribe if you believe transparency isn't optional. We're fighting for accountability one story at a time. What do you think should happen to supervisors who ignore 14 complaints? Leave your verdict in the comments. Bruce Mercer is in federal prison because 8 cameras recorded his actions. Because witnesses stood silent but kept recording. Because one man knew his rights and survived long enough to enforce them. The system failed 14 times before it finally worked once. 14 complaints dismissed. 14 opportunities for intervention ignored. 14 times supervisors chose institutional loyalty over constitutional duty. It took a federal agent being assaulted on camera for accountability to arrive. That's not a justice system working. That's a justice system forced to work by overwhelming evidence it couldn't ignore. Sometimes authority meets authority. When it does, the one who honors their oath survives what the one who violated it cannot. See you in the next one.